the time. Like, oh, now it's done. I told you guys, dude. In February, they often reveal like several new games for the then, and then
They,
around June, you get the direct for the second half of the year.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
it goes every year.
They've definitely done a February direct every year for what, 3, 4. So what's up,
Hmm.
people? Just talking about the recently announced um, February direct, I guess. What
Yeah,
time? What date?
2 p.m.
2 days from now, the 8th,
Yeah, Thursday.
or like 3 days.
Let me see. Nintendo of America. Let's make sure.
Yeah, that's what I did
Nintendo
too.
America. Tune in.
Like, does it
Why
really
do you say
exist?
2? It's 5 o'clock, bro. Why are you saying 2? You live in Michigan. It's not 2.
No,
Focused,
I'm sorry, 2 p.m. Pacific time.
mostly focused on Nintendo Switch games launching in the first half of 2023. So, in my opinion, I'm either gonna be like completely right or completely wrong by the end of this direct tomorrow, because they says mostly focused. My theory after last year's direct, what the June direct, I think, I was like, or maybe they did one in September. I forget which one specifically. I was like, yeah, they're winding down. We got a bunch of remakes and ports, and then the Princess Peach, I think, is the only new game. We got multiple remakes. The Mario, Donkey Kong, Thousand Year
Hmm.
Door, uh,
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion, which didn't even look like it was even close to Luigi's Mansion 3 visuals, so it looks like more of
Yeah,
a
that was
port.
sad. That's sad.
And I'm just like, with the Mario Kart 8 DLC ending in 23, at the end of 23, I was just like, yeah, I think it's winding down. So tomorrow's direct says mostly focused on games launching in the first half. There's obviously still gonna. It's not like games are just gonna stop being released on the Switch, even if the
Right.
Switch 2 come out in November. So, but I'm gonna be really curious of what
It's
this
gonna
is
be
gonna.
Ocarina of Time remake.
Yeah,
People
is there
will
gonna
go
be?
nuts,
If we
man.
can get more remakes, is there gonna be? If there's like a big game for like summer, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, the Switch 2's not coming out this year. So
I'm telling you, there's going to be at least one big game reveal that's going to come out in a couple months. Easy. It's every February. It's the exact same thing.
well, they
We've
already
had it, I
got.
think, with Mario Maker, with Kirby,
It would be
with
May or
Mario Wonder,
June
I think.
because we already got Princess Peach in March, and when's Thousand Year Door? Did that have a month? The remake was that?
Right here. Just here.
Let me look up.
Which one?
Paper Mario,
Uh,
was that like
I don't remember. I don't
April
remember.
or? Let's look. Thousand Year Door. Yeah, I don't need the original. Yeah, that was revealed in September. That was the direct. I said, yeah, there, things are winding down. I don't know. I don't see any kind of. I don't see any release date. I'm on the official Nintendo Switch. It just says stay tuned for more details. Release 2024, so that's gonna get a release date for sure. Um, yeah, if stuff starts getting in June, July, August, and it's like and it's not just. I'll post the link to the tweet. If it's not, if it's like, hey, this, new Donkey Kong for 2024, okay, I'm gonna concede the Switch is gonna go another into 2025. So, and even if they don't show anything major, if they just leave the second half completely like open, then it's not gonna answer either side. But it's gonna be really interesting. 40 minutes. I feel like we can talk about this. I've been, a little bit last few years. I've been a little lower, given the directs a lower review than most people, lower score. I feel like I don't know the percentage. It just feels like a lot of it to me. It is more just typical Nintendo getting promoting stuff, and it's not like the hype announcement. It hasn't been that way for a while, but they still do some surprise, exciting announcements. Don't get me wrong. Metroid Prime last year was announced in the February direct. But it just feels like, hey, we got this Mickey Mouse, whatever the games were that third parties, and just giving them a little spotlight, which I'm just used to now. Back in the day, I would say no, that doesn't belong in a direct. Save that, just announce that on its own. But directs have become like, hey, we want to get as many release dates and games in front of people as possible. So what's up, T?
What up? What up?
Did you hear the direct
I
tomorrow
I
at
had
5?
just heard from you guys. I had no idea.
I'm not surprised, but like I said, I'm curious tomorrow at 5. Well, at 5:40 by the
I
time
thought
it's
it would
over.
be next week.
If it's gonna answer any questions for the people who are like, yeah, Switch is definitely going into 2025 versus people who are saying Switch 2 in 2024. I don't know if we'll get the answer,
I
but
think it's too early.
it'd be curious because it's
I
gonna
don't
be
think we'll know till this summer.
either way. It's gonna be a different transition for them because this is
Yeah.
the Wii completely died off in the last 2 years, so there was no like worried about transition.
Well,
It just
it's not like they haven't had a strong transition before. They had it with the NES to the Super Nintendo, and I would say NES or Super Nintendo to N64. 64 is pretty strong. There were some big titles actually coming out on Super Nintendo the
yeah.
same year 64 dropped. So I mean, it's
But
been a
neither of
while.
those systems were. I mean, they were definitely they sold well, but it wasn't astronomical as like the
No, they were astronomical for their time.
for the
I mean,
time. But still, the
yeah.
Super NES was quite a bit less than the NES, right? Wasn't it like 20
No,
million less?
it's only 10 million, I think.
Oh, really? I thought it was like
Roughly
20
10 million.
something.
It was 50 versus 60, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, the
I
NES
thought the
versus
NES was
the-
like 80 million, but
Yeah, the NES was like 80 million.
I could be wrong. It's going completely off the top of my head.
I don't believe so. I'm gonna look it up for it. Look it up. Look it up.
I was looking around.
80 million in
I was looking
80s
around for
in the
this tweet.
80s?
I'm just saying
Nah.
it's not real.
Yeah, I'm looking. You got to look at the spelling. Nintendo America. You have to make
No,
sure.
it's the date.
Uh,
Somebody picked a tweet from 2023.
Oh yeah. Also, yeah, that's
Oh, it's not
2020.
real?
That's 2023.
Jarian
Dumbass.
just said it in the chat.
Oh,
Dude,
wow.
Is it
Sandstorm.
fake?
Hey, I just jumped in. I got on my Twitter. I was like,
All right,
what?
apologize,
Okay,
guys.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
that's me.
Excuse me. NES Famicom total 61 million.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
okay.
Sandstorm. That's
I know
yeah,
my
the date
Nintendo
is
history.
2023. If you weren't listening, the direct that Sandstorm linked is 2023. That's last year's direct.
This is the same guy who just
Yeah.
told me NES sold 80 million units.
Hey, you know what? Listen.
Okay, so scrap the whole beginning of the podcast.
Listen.
Retro's frozen. You can't believe it.
Late for them to announce a freaking. It's pretty late in the day for them to announce that
Yeah.
the direct would be dropping. I thought
And
that was pretty strange.
Is it even like what today is what? The 5th? I don't even think the date was right. I think it was like the 3rd or something, wasn't it?
It was
Oh,
for it said it
man.
was for the
You
8th.
better delete that if you haven't already.
Yeah, deleting now, guys. Yeah.
Hey, we've been caught. Everybody, I got caught last year.
Yeah.
Or the year before.
I'm like, how the hell did I miss a Nintendo Direct announcement? I'm usually
So forget everything.
glued in.
I don't honestly. If my theory about the Switch 2 this year, I wouldn't even. I don't know if I'd expect a February Direct, to be honest, because they've already given release
I
dates.
think there will be. I think there will be one.
They already went out of their way to do release dates for Princess Peach. They did their own separate thing for that, and some DLC for Splatoon.
Honestly, I'll say if there's not a February Direct, that to me that definitely
pretty
indicates-
telling.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say there isn't gonna be one because I think you're right. Next week, it's more closer. Usually been closer to Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's usually
Mhm.
around or after.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I mean, it has to be after Super Bowl at this point. So
I don't think they've missed a February Direct in like
3-4 years
Years.
at least.
yeah. So
All right.
they
Well,
seem to like
guys,
that.
hey, we had
sorry,
something to talk about.
everybody. That's my public statement. I apologize to all those who were just as excited as I was.
Oh, Retro crashed. His laptop
I
crashed.
didn't
after
realize
that.
it. He was just
was
frozen
pretty
with a
excited.
smile on his
What
face.
When you tell them bad news like that, it just all freezes
Honestly,
up.
I'm gonna now that we figure out that's not accurate. Like I don't think there's gonna be a February Direct this year. But if there is, then I'll I'll be wrong. Obviously, if there isn't, I think T's right. That'll be a sign something's up.
Yeah,
Because
that'll be telling, I think.
I really feel like Princess Peach is their last, like, their biggest new game that's going to come to Switch, Switch only. And then you have the remakes of Thousand Year Door. Then you have what looked
The
like a pretty
cross-gen
basic
for
port of Luigi's Mansion 2. There's some
yeah, it's pretty basic.
There's some third party games obviously that are still coming, but
So cross-gen for Metroid Prime 4, or
I'm still thinking so.
at this point, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. But if I had to put money down, I'd say PS or Switch 2 on exclusive.
Wow,
Just because I feel like I don't know.
that would be
the the
cold-blooded.
remaster Prime looked pretty damn good though. I mean, the character models were definitely
It's
they're
still
slightly
Prime from
improved,
GameCube.
but it's not pushing like super detailed.
No.
The Spice Pirates still looked pretty.
It wasn't built
basic.
ground up on the Switch. That's the point.
But if you build
the
it
point is,
ground
like,
up, then you're not gonna get those level visuals at 60 because they're gonna be pushing too many. They're gonna be pushing too much polygons and new advanced rendering techniques. So I think the best thing they could do, honestly, if they're gonna make it, if they were gonna still release it on Switch, is just don't worry about getting super crazy with the character models. And I'd rather have the environments and everything else look as good as it does in the Prime remaster than have like super detailed high polygon count character models at low resolution.
It's up to Retro Studios, who still follows me.
I don't know. Do you think I imagine at this point, Retro Studios probably has been using Switch 2 hardware to make Prime 4, or you think they're still using the original Switch hardware for cross-gen?
I mean, they've obviously been working on this as a Switch game for many years, but for all we know, they've had Switch 2 hardware for 2 years, or a year and a half. Because I think
they rebooted in what 2019.
Something
They
like
could
that.
have been working on the next
early
gen hardware at that point.
2019. I don't think. Well, if Digital Foundry's assumptions are correct of the next NVIDIA like Tegra style chip, which is already a thing, that I don't think that was out then. But
And you could be working on Target PC.
Yeah,
I mean that's what they do. So.
But yeah, I might as well turn this into, when do you guys think if there's going to be a direct? Do you expect it next week? Do you expect a direct, or could it be, because it's always been right around Valentine's Day? So if you had to put money, let's say you got to put a significant bet down. Let's say you're forced to. Do you say yes, there's going to be a February direct, or no?
I say yes, but I think it's going to be that third week in February, somewhere between the 18th and the 24th. I don't know why. I just always feel like Nintendo's like, oh, they really want this, so we're going to make them sweat. Not really like they really care or anything, but that's just in my head. They're like,
I think if they do one, I think it'll be the 14th or 15th next in 2 weeks.
You think so?
But if I had to put money on it, my guts tell me they're not going to do one because of, what are they going to talk about? They're going to give you the release date of Thousand Year Door, Luigi's Mansion. What is the Mario Donkey Kong remake? Is that, I don't even know if that came out, to be honest.
It's already out.
Is it?
Yeah.
Was that early this year or last year?
January 20th.
Okay. I didn't even know freaking Suicide Squad came out till I was on Best Buy.
It came out the same day as something else that overshadowed. I remember
We've had Tekken 8 and Suicide Squad came out.
Mm-hmm.
Palworld, I think, launched this year, and I don't know what systems that's even on, to be honest.
Was it Palworld?
No.
Palworld's on Xbox and PC.
I want to say it was late. It was late 20. I want to say it was like January 27th or something.
It was late. Yeah, it was late January 20 something.
So I'm like, if they're gonna do a direct, they gotta have more than just a couple release dates and showing Princess Peach again. Like they'd have to have some new announcements, and then it's like, well, if they do, then uh, like last year, Metroid Prime that came out in April. I think the digital was March, the physical was April. Something along those lines, and then a bunch of third party games because obviously third parties are going to keep putting out games until the system, still nothing sells on it anymore. You still get
I lied. It's not out yet. It comes out on the 16th.
okay. So yeah, T, what do you say? If you had to put money down, you say yes or no to a February direct.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a February direct. I think I'm about 80% there.
What kind of stuff do you expect then?
Not much. I don't think there's gonna be much. And if it is a big direct, they'll announce. I don't know. I don't see them announcing Switch 2 until like summer. Because if you think when they announced the Switch, what was it, like 3 months?
Yeah.
Or not 3 months.
October,
It was a
November.
couple months before we got like the reveal. What was it, January? So it was like, it was like 5 months, 5-6 months. I mean, they could do that again. Because people want it. The Switch did so well. The fan base is there for it. They don't need some big, huge, crazy 20 or 12-month campaign, 16-month campaign. They can do what they did before.
And I
just show a trailer and just do the same thing, and you're like, oh my god, look at these graphics, or look what it can do, and whatever cool new gimmick it might have,
And I still stand by my before the NX was shown off. The one thing I couldn't get over was this idea that they're not gonna announce the NX before the last Wii U game, which was the Paper Mario. What one was that?
Not including Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, not obviously. What was that Paper Mario game called on the Wii U?
Oh, Origami King?
No, that's Switch one. That's the Switch.
What are you talking about?
The Wii U one.
Oh, Color Splash.
Color Splash. I was like, they're not gonna. They have too much respect for their own development teams and the directors. The guy who's working on Color Splash, they're not gonna just announce the NX until after that game comes out. So I based my prediction, and I was on the exact day. I predicted the like a month in advance. I predicted October 21st, I believe it was. And I was like, they're just not going to bury Color Splash and release it after they've already revealed what the NX is going to be. So I kind of feel like the same logic for me applies to even though Luigi's Mansion isn't a brand new game. So I'm like, will that still apply if it's like Luigi's Mansion 2 port coming out? So maybe it's after Paper Mario. Maybe once Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake comes out, then they'll announce it. It'd be like, not Symmetry, but it will be
waiting on a remake. That's weird.
I know.
Well, that's Nintendo.
It's
though.
a
That's what they
beloved
would
game, and I think that could be the last like bigger title that they're expecting. But who knows? There's no telling with
same
Nintendo.
Many copies as the first one. Oh.
Yeah, and you don't know. Just because something worked last time doesn't mean Nintendo.
No, you never know.
They might be, like I've said many times, it's super interesting to try to predict, but at the same time, I don't envy them for having to figure out a strategy to follow up the Switch. Like, they're about to announce the fiscal numbers, I think, real soon from the end of the year, and I think it's already, in Japan, it's already real close to PS2, or I don't know if PS2 is the best in Japan, but whatever, it's number 2. And
pretty sure. Well, if they're calling consoles, I think it is PS2.
So, I mean, the Switch could be like within 10 million of the PS2, which that's almost guaranteed. They'll sell 10 million more, even if the Switch 2 comes out in the holiday. Like
they dropped that price to $199 or something like that. Oh my God, it's gonna be flying off the shelves.
So, but
with the same Mario Kart
bundle? That's Mario Kart bundle.
Yeah. I think they moved on to Smash, and maybe there was an Animal Crossing, or they talked about it. I'd never seen it. I saw the Smash one with the OLED. But it's just like I don't know. How do you transition from such a success? There's no drop off right now. So how do you do it? Like
Do it
Right.
the way PS2 to 3 did it.
PlayStation 5 to 4. I mean,
Yeah,
it
4 to
sucked
5.
that there was the shortage, so we don't know how smooth it could have been. But I mean, I just kept on going. I didn't even it didn't. You could say this is a negative. It didn't feel like I moved on because I was just still playing all the same games. Like you pointed out last year, me and Clocked It just easily play Elden Ring co-op. He's on PS4, I'm on PS5. Like it was just a seamless thing, and maybe that is the way to go. And I mean, it
A
does.
lot of people, at least on the internet, cried about it. What's up with this cross-gen stuff? But
You know
I
what?
thought it was cool. I had no problem with cross-gen.
I hope they put some nostalgia in it. I hope when you pop in a Switch 1 cartridge into a Switch 2, it gives you that same, just like with the expansion pack. You're now playing with the Switch 2, extra power at the beginning.
Man, as bland as the Switch is, they ain't doing nothing like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, what do you
It's Switch
do?
UI. Let me put it like
What do you
that.
do with the
Before
UI?
people get mad at me.
Because the PS5's is quite a bit different than the PS4 uh, layout, but it's if you know the PlayStation menu, like setting up your settings and stuff, it's not like completely different.
Yeah.
They made some changes that everyone always complains in the beginning, but then now I bet if you go back to PS4, my cat always wants to chew on frickin' Pyra's sword. God damn you! I'm not doing
That's what you want to chew on from Clara?
You know, I think at most they'll probably change the UI
Well, I think the
from
UI will have.
edge squares,
Yeah,
to rounded squares.
probably. I think Switch's UI is a product of the Switch hardware, and them wanted to make it as minimal as possible, so it's not taken away from, you know, games and whatnot.
And they showed hackers showed that you can do interactive backgrounds and
Yeah,
stuff,
you can
but
do more. Obviously, you can do more with it, but they chose not to. So
there's I do like the Xbox since I had my 1S. I do like the changes they've made. I still don't love like the forced like location for some of the it's almost like advertisements for some games and stuff. I wish I could just put that at the bottom. I haven't found a way to do that, but um, one thing about the PS5, though, you could love it or you could hate it. If somebody said they loved it, I'd believe them. Said they hate it, I love them. I'd believe them as well. When you hover
love
over
them.
a game, and I think PS3 did something similar, but it was a little more dramatic. But you just get some subtle music if the developers put a little music, so you get some music from the game while you hover over, and you can like drop down and gives you some options to go to the store or I don't know, resume your game where you left off and trophies, just some information. But if you hover over the game, now if you're just trying to cycle through games really quick and stuff, then it's no use having the music change and stuff. But it is a nice touch. Like sometimes I just leave it on. You guys, we had this debate about loading screens and title screens and people are like, I love sitting through the whole title screen every time I boot the game up, and I'm like, I'm just trying to get back to where I was as soon as possible.
Right.
But if sometimes I turn the PlayStation on, I'm like, uh, I forgot to do something. Forgot to take the laundry out or whatever, and you leave it, and you come back up and hear the music of the game. Like Elden Ring has some really good music when you leave it hovered over there, and so I like that. And I don't know if the Switch there's got to be something more than just let's just have another completely lifeless UI. I just don't know. I don't know.
No,
I mean, it wouldn't kill me, but
I mean, can it be more lifeless than what the Switch is now? Let's be honest.
it could be black and white and
I,
not be in
I
color.
think I think honestly, if if they didn't really want to add anything necessarily to the UI, but finally add like like if you're in your profile or whatever, and you can finally message back and forth with people, like those kind of pop up like notifications. Like you got a notification and you can just see it like right then and there instead of having to call your friend or what have you to see if they can play a game. You
Yeah, I
can
wasn't
just
even thinking about like they gotta have messages with friends. Fine, they have to. Do they?
yeah.
They have.
I mean,
I
Retro
feel
and I every
Yeah.
once in a while.
Probably learn a lesson of talking about what Nintendo has to do.
Every once in a while,
We gonna learn
I
that lesson.
send Retro a beautiful screenshot of something that I think he'll appreciate. He sends me screenshots. I mean, it's not all the time, but it's just cool to be able to do every once in a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's like
Yeah.
I can hit the PlayStation button or home button, whatever you want to call it, and just there's people online. If I want to start a live stream, if I want to change my sound settings real quick, if I want to put the system in sleep mode, and it's just like you don't have like with the Switch, you have to go down to the settings, which all the other systems have a settings option too. But if you just wanted to power off, I mean, you have to have it in your hand, hold down the power button, just weird things that it doesn't do. And I just would be, I don't know if I'd be shocked if they didn't do anything extra with it. No music again on the eShop type stuff. Like still complete lack of personality.
That's so weird. Yeah, that was the weirdest one. No music in the eShop. No do 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 boom 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 boom.
Dude, making that me on the
bring back
Switch
the
was
Wii-
soul crushing.
Just bring up the Wii U's UI. There you go.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, that Nintendo flavor. Can we get that back? Can we get that back? Been a
And it
long
doesn't
time.
have to distract from being like a game system. It doesn't have everyone. That was the argument. I don't need all these apps. I don't use the apps either, but
Right.
there still can
Give
be
us
some
Me Light.
personality to the UI. It's not just the apps. Like
Me 2.2.0. Me DS version or something. I don't know.
Man, the energy in
Super
here
light.
right now. Hey guys, wake up!
Me verse Super Light.
yeah, I've been trying
There's a
not
new
to read
Nintendo
the.
system coming out this year, maybe, hopefully. Woo! If you know what that came from, you know what that's about. That old Dave Chappelle. Here we go to the White House.
It's so stupid how
I miss
Netflix,
Dave Chappelle.
how he got no money from all the Netflix, all that.
Well, he fixed that though.
Yeah, but like, it's just crazy that.
It's streaming, man. It's streaming. That's the world we live in now.
And didn't Comedy Central screw him over to begin with, so that was even allowed to happen? Like they weren't paying him shit.
He got his money though.
Yeah.
He fixed it.
Muhammad said, "Nah, Chief, that Princess Peach."
Muhammad, man, I don't know.
Man, I don't hear your opinions. Where you at in Palworld? That's what I want to know.
I see.
It's been a week. Are we still playing Palworld? Is what I want to know.
I see Nia been playing it a lot, and I was like, man, Nia.
Yeah, Nia plays it.
I was like, why are you always playing these trendy games? She's like, do I? I was just playing with her, but it's crazy because at first it just feels like Fortnite. The very first instant, I think they're playing Fortnite because they're putting up walls and stuff, and then I was like, then it looks like Pokemon, but then it's just weird. I don't know. I'm just like, what's that word to you when you're
It
just
ain't my
always,
kind of game.
when you're always against the trendy stuff? A hipster.
Yeah.
Hipster. I just feel like anytime anything's like super trendy and popular, like I'm like,
I don't like it.
I think it's a case. It ain't just being a hipster if you don't like.
yeah,
you gotta be into crafty survival games anyway. And now I'm not into those.
But
I'm just
still,
not.
even just because everyone's talking about it, it just feels like a lot of streamers are playing it and just seeing it lots on Twitter. I mean, and it was the same with Fall Guys. You know, it's a
a lot of that comes from hoeing though. A lot of people want to do what everybody else is doing because it gets attention, and sometimes that's how things get big, is because a bunch of people start playing something and everybody jumps in. It's not like like everybody loves the game or whatever. A lot of times, especially these days, you can't trust people online and what they say. Like come
Yeah,
on, man.
one of the streamers I used to watch all the
It's so
time.
much cap today. Like
She started
I
getting
don't know.
promotional videos where she had to play like a specific game for the developer. So all of a sudden it didn't feel like her normal content because she couldn't
Hmm.
critique the game. Now she's a partner with Sony and is playing all the PlayStation like Plus monthly games every. That's all she's
Yeah,
playing now. I just like I can't. I'm not gonna watch this. Like
yeah.
it's
I
like
told you about that one Nintendo YouTuber. I don't want to say his name. I'm not throwing shade at him. He's secure in the bag. But when Animal Crossing came out on Switch, he switched. Like and he got really popular streaming Animal Crossing stuff, and
That
everything
should
he
make me
did before
so
that
mad.
was over. Everything he did before that was over, and he just started finding other games that were Animal Crossing light or like, and started
what
streaming stuff
happened
with
to the
that. I'm
Mario
like,
Maker content
it
creators?
ain't
I
really
wonder.
you, but okay.
They're still there and still going.
It's got to be dying down though. Like Mario Maker
No.
2
It's,
wasn't.
it's kind of switching now because Mario Maker 1 is dying in April. Because the online of it dies and stuff, but Mario Maker content is still going strong, man. They still get the views, they still get the subs.
Because
But
once
you
you see
had to be
somebody,
there at that moment. That's why I'm so pissed at all those fucking Animal Crossing creators. Nobody gave a shit about Animal
You
Crossing
guys
back then.
you had hours in the game the second day it came out,
yeah,
so
you probably
Yeah,
got
you
5,000
guys
hours in
slept,
that
man.
game. You could have been getting paid to play that
You
game.
could have been getting
exactly. I just didn't have the
paid.
material back then yet. Else I would have been like an Animal Crossing streamer now.
Yeah, you missed that boat.
Yeah,
That's all right. It happens to me a
I
lot.
missed the Mario Maker boat too. I wanted to be there at the
I
beginning too.
miss
Just
all the
didn't have
boats,
the
man.
shit back then. Yeah, man, it didn't have the shit back then. It just happens. But I mean, I don't care. I like it that people can make their careers over that stuff. But I don't like it when people make their careers, for example, of Animal Crossing, when they never played the game in their life, and now they're like the biggest fans all of a sudden. It's like, bitch, you didn't care in the past. Like, get out of here with this shit.
Right.
I miss all the boats except for the one coming from Ghana, the one I should have missed.
What the fuck?
Like 500-600 years ago, what was that?
But either way, like getting back to the main point, like when I see like all these people playing the same game, I'm just like, unless I was there, unless I was like Elden Ring, I was like intrigued, and then I pre-ordered it like a month in advance because I saw a steelbook. I was already gonna play it, and then it became huge. I wasn't gonna stop playing it because everybody was, but like I don't know if I had missed out at the beginning and all of a sudden everybody's playing it, I don't know, I might not have. I might have just like, yeah, I'm not gonna jump on this
It could have been an
bandwagon.
Elden Ring streamer. Yeah.
Not gonna jump on the bandwagon. It's just then Palworld's like a perfect example.
Well, if you care about your YouTube channel growing like that,
Yeah,
you
you
really
have to.
care, then you got to do that stuff.
Mhm.
You stupid not do it. So I get it. I ain't hating. I ain't
Is there
hating.
gonna
I'm
be
just pointing it out.
competitive Palworld like freaking Fortnite has? I don't even know if it can have that, but it's just surprised me that Fortnite.
It's only what do you call it? Co-op, I think.
Palworld, I feel, is one of those hype games that is going to die off real fast once people get sick of, look, I'm playing a better Pokemon. People don't give a shit anyway that are saying that. So they're
Just
going
be
to
the
stop
Nintendo
playing it real
fanboy.
soon. Yeah.
Well, there's that expression, the things that burn the brightest. What's that? How's that go? They burn out quicker. There's an
Burn out
expression about
fast,
the
something
lights,
like that.
the
Yeah.
brightest lights burn out quicker, something like that. Somebody in the
Yeah.
chat knows. And I feel like that's what happens.
Shame on me. You fooled me once.
Well, for those that
You had a George W. Bush moment
Yeah.
there.
it's something like the things that burn the brightest, like
You can't get fooled twice, you see.
burn out quicker. Yeah, I get you. You ain't gonna fool me again. But NASCAR did that for those in America. NASCAR was the biggest sport. It came out of nowhere. People, my brother-in-law, who's like
NASCAR ain't big no more.
he was like a tech nerd, drummer in a band. He like always like having the new latest and greatest like tech stuff, and he was in bands. And all of a sudden he's going to NASCAR races. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, NASCAR's.
Bro, I was watching NASCAR late '90s,
built,
early 2000s.
Yeah, they had
I was
to
watching
build.
that shit.
They build bleachers that went all the way around the track. Before you were just basically at the start finish line, and then it was a little out because You know, you don't want to. And all of a sudden, they built all these bleachers all around the track. Two races a year in Michigan. All of a sudden, the bleachers just started getting emptied. And now they barely fill
Yeah.
up the start finish.
You know why? Because they went woke.
why?
You can't fly those Confederate flags anymore. Nobody want to go to the show.
Yeah. What happened was everybody caught on to the popularity train and realized, you know what? It's always the same. You're just watching a car
Just
go around
cars
a
going
track.
in a circle.
And then all of a sudden, now that Fox barely televises it,
That's crazy.
they only do one race now in Michigan versus the two because there wasn't enough people showing up, and it's just so I feel like some of the, like retro, Palworld, it just feels like it, it's a short
I think so
burn.
too. I don't think like I think with Fortnite, Epic had the. We're talking about a tiny company here. I mean, obviously they're a little bigger now, but I don't know if they have the foresight to be the next Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the longevity is going to be there for that game. Unless they do some really dramatic things, and it has to be it has to be timely. Fortnite was really timely when it did its changes, and it didn't disrupt the fan base.
You look at
too much.
Fortnite now, and it's like hard to believe it's the game we played back
Right.
when it came out.
Right.
Like there's some pretty cool stuff in Fortnite. I still ain't gonna play. I still won't download it and boot it up, but there is some pretty cool stuff.
I played it once.
You'll still have an audience because I think PUBG still has a decent audience.
Well, my buddy at work, that's all they play every week. They're PUBG. They're a group of 4.
Yeah, but nobody talks about PUBG. No YouTuber gaming channels really talk about it unless you're a PUBG YouTuber or something. So
it gives the PC
it's
guys
gonna end up being something like that, maybe.
PUBG's more of we want to be more of a serious tactical group, like, but it's still fun. Like my buddy, he just tells me about some of the moments they encounter. It sounds fun. If you got 3 other people to consistently play with, I'm sure it is fun. And it gets pretty intense. Just listen to some of their mics and stuff when they record like a clip. They get into it. So, and that was like for a little bit there. That was the game when it first came out, and then Fortnite kind of took it.
I remember when it came out to Xbox, and Xbox fans doing the same thing they're doing for Palworld, capping.
That didn't launch
about no PUBG until it came to Xbox. They ain't care about that shit.
That was on Xbox One, wasn't it? I think it
Xbox
came out
One,
with only like one map, and it wasn't the best. But I think by the end they got it cleaned up. I don't know. Wait for Sandstorm to get back so we can cover this next topic, but I guess we'll have to just go along with it. So Phil Spencer tweeted today that was real. It's verified, right? It's not fake. It's not from last year.
No, it's real.
They're planning to
Xbox guys talking about it. So
detail next week. They said they've been listening and hearing, and they're gonna detail the future of Xbox. So I mean,
what have they been listening to?
I don't know.
That they should go third party.
They ain't hear that from Xbox fans. They're hearing that from Sony fans. Xbox fans are, they're mad.
And maybe it's just like a physical version of Hi-Fi Rush on the Switch.
Oh, painful.
Hey, I'd buy that shit.
It's just crazy.
I'd buy that shit too.
You guys know I got no love for Microsoft. I don't want them to just become a third party like Sega.
I don't want that either. On principle, as far as like gaming and competition, and I just don't want that. I don't want it.
So I'm kind of hoping that that's not gonna be it. Maybe a few games.
Yeah.
Maybe like Starfield. Like people.
But even if they do that, every fucking game that comes out, it's coming in. It's going to be the same thing. You have to put your foot in the sand or whatever the saying is. We fucking up sayings all night tonight. If you have to put your, you got to stake your ground and say, this is what we're doing. You can't. That's been Microsoft's problem for the last 4 or 5 years. Is the messaging is terrible. It's been terrible. So you have to assure fans that every time a fucking game gets announced, is it coming to something else?
Maybe they've been listening to maybe they've been listening to Muhammad and you're gonna get like a Palworld controller.
Like at the end of the day,
now,
I don't care. that just, I bought the Xbox from you, Juice.
Mm-hmm.
But that money went to Microsoft, and if they're telling me they don't care about their hardware anymore and their software's going everywhere, hey, whatever. I'll go back to my PC. I'll go build another PC.
Why did they? I mean, that's a weird strategy to spend all that 60 something billion on Activision and Blizzard if you're just gonna.
It's weird. Like, yeah, I don't understand it. I don't
But
get it.
I
I
mean,
get it for business, but like, why are you doing that? And well, here's the thing: if they bought these companies and said, "Hey, everything, these guys are going to be on everything," say that from the beginning, right? I think people wouldn't have liked it as much, but at least they knew where they stood. Yeah, I feel good about my Xbox console purchase because that's what a lot of people are saying. It devalues my console purchase. Like I could have just fucking built a PC if you guys were going to put your games everywhere, right? So I understand it from that aspect. Now a lot of guys they're on it for the pugilism, the the Xbox versus those Sony fans. You think they were entitled before? If this drops, oh my God,
yeah.
ain't gonna be in the streets out here for these Xbox man. It is over for you. So
It's just the whole thing is just strange because he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll tell you next week what you've been waiting for,
yeah, it's
whatever."
weird.
But I mean, it doesn't sound like it's gonna be like a direct and they're gonna show a bunch of games because that's what people have
Yeah.
been wanting, fucking games. But the way he says this doesn't make me think like, yeah, they're gonna show like a bunch of games that are gonna be coming out.
It's gonna be an
Like
announcement on Xbox
something
channel or
weird.
whatever. There's gonna be some, there's gonna be some corporate presentation
That's what it seems like to
likely.
me. Like almost
Yeah.
like to the shareholders type of thing. Like
Hmm.
this is what we're gonna do. So I
So
don't
when they
know
say we heard you, they talking about we heard the shareholders,
because
not you, not you Xbox. Sorry.
I know this isn't quite the same, but I feel like I've been fighting the battle for the last 2.5 years since I got my PS5 about. Well, that's not a PS5 game because I can play it on my PS4, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
but it doesn't matter to me. Like I played Elden Ring, I don't care that it's on PS4 and Xbox One.
Hmm.
I enjoyed playing Elden Ring on my PS5, and I don't really care about the cross-gen thing, but I do see if you do watch the last state of play, and I didn't think the one before it, I kind of felt like I'm starting to see games like, yeah, these look like games that are next generational versus like the first 3 years of the PS5. Yeah, Horizon looks amazing, but at the same time, you see some of these other games that are being shown. You're like, yeah, that's not running on PS4 at any decent frame rate or any like at 1080p and stuff. Like there's some pretty like Avatar already runs like on PS5 that 60 FPS mode runs at like 1080p natively, and then it upscales. So there's no way it's running on PS4. So
It, here's the thing. I think this is the biggest angle that nobody is kind of approaching this from. That's what I do. I look at it from other angles that nobody see them from. Now, they had this whole emphasis on Japan and trying to make sure they get these Japanese games.
mm-hmm.
They've been producing. They've been doing that. But what Japanese company is going to put games in your console at this point? If you're just putting your stuff on everything, why would they waste the time to make a version for your console
Especially
when you're putting games on other consoles, right? Like
exactly that seems to go counter
it makes no
intuitive,
sense.
but
The only thing I can think of is this is a Microsoft versus Xbox division
yeah.
problem. I think Microsoft wants the games everywhere. They don't care about any of this stuff. They just want the maximum profit. But but I see people. If that's the case, and this has been an infighting thing that's happened over the last few months, which is what the rumor is, and it's been kind of a big in Microsoft house battle. You're gonna see some resignations. I don't see. Maybe Sarah Bond will stay around. I don't see Phil Spencer staying around. People are going to blame him for this to begin with. So
It
I don't
all
see him
started
staying around.
honestly 2016 with the Quantum Break going PC day and date.
Yeah,
And
there were certain Xbox guys that didn't like that.
that I
That was
remember.
a crazy time,
I
man.
was listening to more of that back then, and they're definitely pretty upset about it. And I did a live stream. I don't think too many people watched it. I was playing Breath of the Wild through the emulation on PC, and I'm like, honestly, I don't care if Nintendo put these games on PC. Like, it doesn't. It's weird because on one hand, I'm old. I've been gaming for a long time, and you just think, yeah, got a console, got it exclusive, but that's already changing when the fact that with all these cross-gen, this smooth transition from generation to generation, which I love, to be honest. Don't feel like you have to start over with everything, except for like with PS5, you have to start over with controller. You can't use the PS4 controller unless you're playing PS4 game. But other than that, it's like a smooth transition. But it does feel like it's killing off the old style mindset where the new system.
You're going to kill your hardware. Like if Nintendo did it, I wouldn't care for their next console. You know why? These things are all over the place. If I could play your games on PC, I'm probably not going to buy your hardware.
That would, with the advent of the portable PCs, that
right.
Would
with the advent of the portable PCs, now that gimmick that you have, that angle that you had is dying. So
and you lose control of then you have to worry about optimizing for all
optimization
these
and all
different
this stuff.
freaking configurations.
You're opening up all this stuff.
So I don't blame them for not doing it. I'm just saying I don't think I would personally care, and
I wouldn't care. I'm just saying I wouldn't buy your hardware.
And if let's say, trying to think of I don't expect like Halo and Forza in those games at this point. Maybe that will happen. If it's just like Bethesda's games or Activision's games, that'd be one thing. If they release like the Master Chief Collection and Forza Horizon 5 on PS5, then that's gonna be like, holy shit! Like they're just saying we're done.
I've said it from the start. I can't imagine Xbox keeping Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive to like Xbox. I just don't see that happen. That is so much fucking money you're just throwing away.
Well, I think it's definitely going to be on PC. So that's
no, but I mean, I will go to PlayStation. I don't see them not doing that.
That's probably the case. I think there was a point. I never thought it made sense to lock it to Xbox and PC only anyway, because this is part 6 of the series that everybody has been able to play up until this point. I never understood. Because that was the talk that it was going to be exclusive. I was just like, Elder Scrolls 6. That's the 6th one is going to be exclusive. That makes no sense to me. So I never understood that. I understood Starfield. I understood Redfall. I get those, but Elder Scrolls 6, that doesn't make any sense.
If you're really
whatever the next one is, 5 or whatever spinoff or whatever, that makes no sense to me because everybody's been able to play these games
and
up until this
Elder
point.
Scrolls Online still like available everywhere, isn't it? It's not like
they're not going to take it away because people have already had it.
It makes sense if you're like, all right, we're gonna put the dagger. We will make people buy an Xbox. We're gonna put.
But that's not gonna happen.
But by the time that game comes out, you could be looking at the next like the Series Z.
Oh yeah.
Games that come out to the next
PS6,
series game anyway.
Yeah.
PS6, that's not coming out to then.
Who knows what can change by then, but I don't know. It feels weird. But like I was saying, I'm trying to think of like a Sony first party or a PlayStation first party that wasn't developed by Sony. It's more of a second party like effort, like collaboration type game, like Stray. That was timed exclusive, but whatever. Let's just say something along those lines. Kana, which I think it's not only on PC. Like I don't care if Kana goes to Xbox, but that's not like a first party. So
my thing is, this would make way more sense to me if Game Pass was 100 million strong. You know what I mean? Like, okay, who cares at that point, right? You don't care about the console because you got 100 million Game Pass subscribers. I'm sure a large sum of those would be on PC. So it's just like I would understand it then, but it's like, what are you at that point? When your games are everywhere, like you're just a platform. You're Steam, which is fine, I guess. But like, is that sustainable? I don't know.
Yeah, because
I guess we may see.
I had a debate with somebody who just couldn't accept the fact. I don't know if they were just trolling. I think it was in Sandstorm's podcast. I was like, they're like, Game Pass is already ready to go on Switch, I bet. And I'm like, the streaming version maybe, not regular Game Pass. Like, why not? I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
because all those games that have to be ported to Switch. Oh, I bet you they've been working on for years. Like, they're not porting hundreds of games and third-party games that aren't on
No.
Switch just so they can put Game Pass. That's how much money would they have to spend porting all those games to run on the Switch, the original Switch
It's
hardware,
not happening.
just so they can try to get some Game Pass subscriptions from the Nintendo fan base. Like, that would be a big investment and a big risk. So I said, if you get
Yeah.
anything, you're going to get the streaming version, which should be good because
It is good. I play it on pretty much everything, and it runs
I guarantee
really well.
you it's a huge upgrade over that small company who's taken on all the streaming cloud games on Switch, or just like I keep saying, just some random company that was doing something and said, you know what, I think we could do cloud streaming, and they started approaching developers, and that's how it started. Like, it was, they don't have the infrastructure. It's not running
Right.
on a server's equivalent of like a 4090 or a 4080. You're getting pretty low quality from the source, and then by the time it hits Switch, it doesn't look great. But
Right.
that's a possibility. I don't know. Do you have to then? Is that an extra cost, or you just have, if they put Game Pass streaming on Switch? Is it just you pay for Game Pass on Switch $12 a month or whatever? If you get the Ultimate, you probably, maybe they group it with the Ultimate for 17.
Yeah.
I mean, that might get a lot of subscriptions. If I don't know how many people are willing
I
to stream
think it would be. I would think it would be in the millions.
because you're paying to only have the option to stream, but then every game on there you would get to stream. Every game that is on Game Pass, I'm assuming, works in the stream for the streaming. Maybe not.
I think it's pretty safe to assume they tried. They offered Game Pass. It seems like there was a period where, because that was
didn't they
again
just-
rumors.
Yeah, didn't they come out and have to clarify that Game Pass wasn't coming? Didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't he make
Yeah.
that statement? So let's just say, for argument's sake, that the future of Xbox. Let's say for Xbox fans, I'll reassure them. Let's say they're just they're reconfirming, hey, we're dedicated to our Xbox hardware, and but we are bringing Starfield to PS5 and Hi-Fi Rush to Switch and PS5. Those
That
are
wouldn't be
correct.
surprising, to be honest. That's
Like,
not surprising.
I
to
don't,
me.
you could say, yeah, that's kind of, but if they put their foot down and say, hey, we are still dedicated, we still have these games coming exclusive to Xbox, but these two games, I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be the right time if they're doing.
But I'm confused because like every pony I've seen online, Starfield is trash. Why would you put your? Why would you put
No, it was never trash.
game?
It was never trash. Now now we get Starfield.
There's always going to be people like that, but I'm sure there's plenty of non-vocal PlayStation.
Yeah, no, I'm
owners.
I'm just making
that
jokes.
would.
But I
the game would
guarantee you, a
probably
lot of those guys will play Starfield
Yeah,
on
you'll
their
have to
fucking-
check the
Every
people.
single
It's
one
fun.
of them.
You have
I
to.
It runs
guarantee
so much
you.
better on
Receipts.
PlayStation. It runs so much
But-
better.
The 30 frames is a little different on PlayStation.
More grass on the rock over here.
But I'm, and PS5 games aren't really selling that. I don't know how good Hogwarts Legacy did on PS5 specifically. I know
Did really well. I
It
thought.
sold really well, but I don't know about the PS5 version. I don't know if they listed.
I don't know if it was worth what they paid for that license. I bet they.
But
paid a
did
pretty
they
penny
list
for that.
individual backdown of consoles that it sold on?
I tried to, but I
I can
think
look
the
it up.
only one I got was that they sold 23 million off of
And
Switch.
you gotta
you should,
imagine
you should be able to go to something like VG charts and
Yeah.
see what the PS. Let me see. I'll look.
PS4, I would bet, had the highest number.
I hope so. They're the one who paid for the license for that game.
The total, what did I say?
Well, I
the
just
total
mean
was?
PS4 because it's a big install base versus.
I think
Oh,
the
you're
total-
talking about. Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
PS4.
think the total as the
PS4
end
you
of the
said.
year it was 800. I think they had the highest sales of the year.
Yeah, it was
for
23
any
million. So you got to assume maybe 8 to 10 of that might have been PS4. I don't know, 7, 8, PS5. Who
Let's see
knows?
if they have any estimates here.
So would Starfield sell 5 million on PS5? No, but it might sell 1 million. It might sell 2 million. I don't. Who knows? It might sell 500,000. There's really no. But if
Yeah,
they
this
were
is gonna
just
be
gonna
estimate.
confirm that and not have this separate little tweet about the future of Xbox, but I think Hi-Fi Rush will do well on Switch. I think that'd be a 1 million seller.
I think so.
or 500, between 500 and 800,000. I think almost guaranteed.
This year, if it came out this year, I think it would do pretty well.
Yeah.
Actually,
So from a business standpoint, the game's been out. Xbox, and that was like a surprise game. So that had been in development, you would assume, before the acquisition was final. And I don't know. Would you be okay with just some pick and choose in here every once in a while a game does versus if they just said straight up, yeah, we're bringing everything to all platforms, then I think Xbox, I would feel bad for the Xbox fans, a long time loyal fans.
I mean, everybody was always crying that Nintendo should go third party and shit, and I've never really agreed with that. But the way Xbox are going, man, like I don't know, they're closer to going third party than Nintendo ever was. So I can imagine them just dropping
well,
everything on
they've
everything
been
and just
third party for a while.
focusing
Let's
on.
be honest.
With the
Like if they
PC,
really wanna,
yeah.
if they really wanna make money, I can see Xbox just dumping the whole console stuff and just putting all their energy and attention to all the studios they bought to make games for the other shit.
well,
I feel
yeah,
like that's
because
just the smartest move at this point. Because if you're talking about Game Pass, it almost seems like it's next to nothing at this point. If you have a dedicated hardware for the streaming service, to just drop that on like your TVs and stuff like that now and put it on another console and everything. And that, I mean, knowing how these console manufacturers work, they'd be like, "That's our hardware." And that's not hardware, but
yeah, the
just
hardware's their servers.
right. Just to be able to put the app everywhere and have that be in your hands at any point in time, I could definitely see Xbox doing that.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't.
yeah, because T, you're kind of right.
find that.
Because they at first it was PC through the Windows Store for all their games, and now
Mhm.
it's just Steam.
It became
So,
a Steam.
because Robert made the mistake. He bought one of the Call of Duties through the Windows Store, and there was like 10 people. It was under 20 people,
Oh, that sucks.
and they had to he got a refund, and other people got a refund because there was no cross-platform play. It was just the few people that bought it through the Windows Store.
Oof.
That's
Why would they do that when they know there's not going to be that many people?
I think
Right.
it was early going with it, and I think people just thought that there was going to be others.
So, I mean, so what is if this is true? Obviously this is all rumors. But there's a lot of smoke. If this is true, what is Xbox? It's weird to even call it Xbox anymore.
Maybe they just drop it.
There's no
It's
box.
just gonna be Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be Microsoft games.
Yeah.
And then
Microsoft
like,
presents
so what are they?
Xbox
Are they a
games.
platform? Because they got the
Stadia is what
they got
they're.
Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
They have Game Pass. So I just I don't know. I guess they're gonna clarify. I think
Instead
this
of calling it
whatever
Game
this
Pass, they
meeting
can
thing
just-
or whatever this presentation is was always going to be a thing anyway because they just bought Activision Blizzard, right?
Mhm.
So they want people to know, what their vision is. They want to I guess they want to finally have a succinct message for people to know what their plans are. So this thing was probably in the works anyway, and maybe that's why they're telling people to wait because we have this thing that's going to explain all this
Yeah.
to you guys, and you can stop bothering us, in the future with this. So that's what I would think. But
Xbox
it's a
legacy,
sad day
that's
for
what they're gonna call it.
Xbox.
Yeah.
if it's true.
Wouldn't it
if
be
it's true.
something though if everyone's got their mind made up? Oh, they're going third party, and then they're just reconfirming. No, we're doubling
Yeah, they
down on
very
our.
possibly could.
We're doubling
just
down
be
on our
like-
hardware.
Yeah.
and,
Actually, we got new hardware coming
don't
out.
worry.
Right, they just show new hardware, right? That they have the leak, and they can be like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." Obviously, we don't care about physical games anymore, so here's this discless system.
Right.
Please
all
buy it
digital.
this fall. you know?
Powerhouse. Introducing the new.
And they
world's
don't
most
mind
powerful
doing that now because it's not like the Xbox is selling crazy, so they're not undercutting anything by
Mhm.
letting people know, hey, just buy the Game Pass box. You know, not even gonna call it Xbox. It's gonna be
Right.
the GP
Legacy.
box or whatever.
Yeah. Legacy Game Pass.
Yeah.
Game Pass Legacy.
Because
Yeah,
they're undercutting themselves if they do this the
I
way
think
people think they're gonna do it.
I
So
think at
it
this
didn't make sense
point,
to me.
I think at this point, we've been waiting for a lot of these companies and these games for a while. We've heard a lot. We've heard a lot, and I would say, I mean, honestly, we haven't really seen anything. And so when they're talking about, so when we hear something like this, like, oh, they're moving all this stuff over now, I almost wonder, I almost wonder if any of those other games they're still going to keep for themselves as a last hurrah, even if they, let's say they do decide to do, start moving stuff over to PlayStation. Um, they've always seemed to still have like, but if you want to buy our system, you can still buy our system kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they still keep some of those exclusives.
Here's another thing. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought. Sorry.
I was gonna say if they wanted to keep some of those games like Perfect Dark or even the Fables to Xbox/PC and go that route. But like, all the other ones that they know probably would be a bigger sale if they sold it on another console as well. To have it like that, like the Gears or Forza. Or I think Forza would stay with Xbox, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just that battle between Forza and Gran Turismo, but you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some of those other ones be on the Sony side so they can get that extra dollar.
I think my biggest thing with this, I was gonna say it earlier, is that obviously we know Xbox is always pretty forward thinking, right? Like they forced people to do broadband back when everybody was on dial up. They forced always online. No, everybody hated it, but almost all these games are online and doing check-ins all the time now.
Mm-hmm.
And they were ahead of that curve. They were probably way too ahead of it because obviously it didn't work out for them. And now, I mean, they're ushering in. I don't want to say they're ushering in because some people have already been doing it, but obviously digital only stuff, right? And they're look to be forcing or pushing that faster than anybody else. So knowing all that, and we know there's going to come a point in time where consoles aren't going to matter, and Microsoft knows that. It's like, so why would you do this now, right? Like, why would you piss off your hardcore fan base at a point where within the next 10 years or so, consoles are going to be way less. No, people are going to care even less than they care about them at this point. Obviously, they feel like consoles are going to be going out or phasing out or going to not be as important in the future.
You would think that would come with probably a new hardware. To be honest with you, if you were going to make that,
like why would you do this now? Why not wait until the next console, right? The next console launch to say, hey, we're bringing all this stuff over at this point now. Like, why do it now? It doesn't make sense to me to do it now if you're going to do it.
What if, I don't know what information they would have got out of the Activision Blizzard deal, but I don't know what the actual numbers are, but I feel like it's probably close to 2-1 right now, PS5 to Xbox, if I remember the last Xbox numbers.
Oh, it's at least that. Like,
Maybe.
they're below Xbox One right now.
At the same time period?
Which is crazy. Because Series X and S are far superior to that thing.
And the price, I mean, obviously Walmart was the only one doing it, but the Series X been $350. I haven't checked lately, but
they dropped the price, and I think the console sales went up 4% after that price drop.
Maybe they had a deadline to hit something, and they're like, "Hey, the writing's on the wall." I'm just trying to get in the mindset.
I just feel like, hey, I feel like Microsoft proper, is like, yeah, we opened up the wallet, we let you buy all these companies. Now this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what you guys wanted to do, but this is what we want to do. And they're looking at mobile because they want to, they want to rub shoulders with. They don't care as much about Sony at this point as far as competition goes. Their competition, they've been saying it forever, is Apple and Google.
Yeah.
That's what they care about mostly, and Amazon possibly.
Where's Muhammad
So-
during this discussion? I don't see him in here.
He
He's busy playing Palworld.
He was jumping in here
Palworld,
earlier.
yeah.
He's very sad. He's licking his wounds.
But
He's
we're
busy
just
building
assuming-
his,
we're just trying to
his
play
I
out
get
the
it.
potential.
But I made the joke.
announcements.
I need to talk about rumors and how people take rumors as fact. This could all be for nothing.
Yeah, but it's still. This is where I usually
This is just speculation.
speculation to me is better than just like claiming, "Hey, this is I
We're
got a
not claiming
source."
this is.
We're just trying
Yeah.
to say if they say this, then how do we feel? If they say this, how are people going to react? That's kind
I
of.
think people are taking it more seriously because it came from Xbox YouTubers and Xbox
Mm-hmm.
websites, Xbox centric websites, and that's why people are taking it.
Don't say it
Yeah.
came from Hot 97.
Oh, jeez. Oh man.
It is a weird time with physical movies disappearing, physical
Yeah,
games. It's just like.
It's my least favorite time in history.
And the
of
worst thing for the
entertainment.
movies is there's no option to download unless you want to spend 10 grand. There's no option to download the full quality movie. Like games, at least you can download the same exact file that comes off the disc. Like
Right.
you're getting the full experience. You're not. If streaming was the only option for gaming, if physical disappeared and streaming, cloud streaming was the only.
It's
other
not
option.
just streaming now. You can buy digital stuff, right? So digital game or digital movies,
But it's
digital
still streaming.
games.
You buy the digital rights to stream it. You don't buy the actual. You don't download.
No, I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about like Voodoo and what is it?
Yeah, you still
it
just
Voodoo?
stream it. You
Not
can't
Voodoo.
download it.
What am I talking
You
about?
got Vudu, you got Movies Anywhere, you got Apple TV. All you can purchase movies that still you just stream. Now streaming's getting better, but I'm saying is
There's no.
you have to buy Kaleidoscope,
You don't.
which is
Yeah.
about 10 grand in order to actually download a high quality 100 gigabyte movie and watch it at full quality.
Mm.
That's the only digital platform where you can download the movie and not have to stream it. Even if that's why streaming for movies is so bad because you're buying nothing. It's like Stadia. You're paying $60.
I'm stepping on my next video, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This age, this era of digital only or streaming, you're gonna create so many pirates.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're gonna do. This is gonna be the era of piracy because now I definitely don't own anything. Why should I? Why should I pay for it?
Why should I pay?
If I'm not
Why should I
own
pay
it?
$40
Why should I pay for
dollars to stream them to say I own a movie to stream
Right.
it? Like that's ridiculous. And
And
then
they think they're doing this for the opposite effect to end piracy or to end the the secondhand market and all that stuff. You're gonna create a whole generation of people. And today,
they're gonna be like people with music. They're not gonna know what paying for
Right.
movies is like. They're not gonna
Right.
know. Oh, you had to buy
you already
movies
have a
before?
bunch of people who don't know that already. You already have a bunch of people who grew up not paying for these things, and it's just gonna feel easier for them
The
once
problem
I don't
with,
have to go to a store and buy a product.
The problem with movies, though, if everything's streamed, they're only the director or
It's not gonna look great.
there's not gonna be access to the 100 gigabyte file unless
Yeah,
like the movie theaters. That's how movie theaters with digital projectors.
it's gonna be people capturing it.
That's how they,
And then,
back
like,
in the old days,
digital
too,
files.
you remember seeing they'd have to actually buy the reels. They get
Mhm.
the reels from the movie and they'd project them. Well, the
Right.
digital projectors, I don't know if it comes on a proprietary or if they download them now, but they have the full high quality file, and that's what the Kaleidoscope company gives you, that same file to play at home. But
Mhm.
you have to spend 10 grand on hardware, then you have to pay $40 for the movie, for every movie. And
Right.
with gaming, at right now, at least when you buy it digitally, you get to download. You don't have to stream it. So that's when once it's just streaming, then it's gonna be like
The thing about movies versus video games, it's like, at least when it comes to movies, if I buy a digital movie, right,
Mhm.
or even now a physical movie, I feel a little bit more confident because I can put that movie in any player
mm-hmm.
and it works, right? But video games are not like that. It only works with that certain box.
Right.
So if I'm not able to have that physical thing to put in that certain box, I'm not gonna put my money into the digital. I'm just not. I know I'm not gonna care. One thing I'm definitely gonna do is buy way less. I'm gonna spend way less money in the newer stuff that comes
Except
out.
on Steam Deck. Oh!
The thing about Steam Deck is that currently a lot of stuff that I buy on Steam Deck, it's all physical. I have the physical version of it. That's why I like my Steam Deck, because I can buy that physical version, put that bitch back there somewhere, not even open it, and get on a Steam sale. Oh, I got that game. That's how I play my Steam Deck. I don't even with the Steam Deck, I don't like
You're
just
not buying
having
a $70
that digital
game,
version.
right? You're not.
No, I'm not buying a $70 game, especially a digital $70 game. You can kiss my ass. I'm not doing it. So I don't want to buy a physical $70 game. I'm definitely not buying no digital $70 game. Forget about it. So I think you're going to have the opposite effect. At the very least, the revenue is going to maybe slightly go up, but it's not going to be this big boom they think it's going to be, because you're just going to create pirates. I don't like not having control of the things I buy. I don't like it.
Retro Death. What are you
I'll
gonna do?
never like it.
What's Robert gonna do at the podcast? He won't have a box to display. We're talking about a topic, He
You're
can't
gonna
pull
go
out
full
a box.
retro at that point.
It's just sad. I know we got kind of off topic there, but that's just depressing. It's just depressing.
It's so depressing.
And then there's guys that are like, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna spend $2,500 on a NAS server so I can have all these movies stored, and then you have to do a lot of manual stuff to get digital movies working that way if you do the illegal version. And like, well, I don't have room to have 500 movies on a shelf somewhere in my house, So to them, they don't like. I got.
Well, here's the thing: you're an enthusiast. I'm an enthusiast. Like, I care about the quality. Some people, I mean, how long could you be able to go to a store, a corner store somewhere, and the guy standing outside with bootleg? Somebody literally went in the movie theater and used their handy cam and shot a copy of the movie, and people will buy those movies in droves. So, yeah, the quality of a streaming movie that was copied ain't gonna be as good, but most people are not gonna give a damn.
Retro
Like,
Death can't even tell that Tears of the
care.
Kingdom barely looks better than Breath of the Wild. How is he gonna? How is he gonna care about the quality?
Difference of opinion, man. But for me, like, because I also have a pretty big Steam library. A lot of people don't know that, and I have that because a lot of games were just always exclusive to PC. That's why I have that. But if you have one of the big three companies that would go all digital, let's say Nintendo would go all digital. I feel more eager to just focus on PlayStation because I like the physical media. I don't like having a nothing. So if you have, even if Nintendo just doesn't exist anymore, they have a platform like Steam. I'm gonna be like, okay, but Steam for me is like on the background. I focus on everything that I have physical, just that I can put in a system. I can play that I feel that I own. I do that way sooner. So even if Nintendo would go all digital, I would hate that. And I definitely would see myself playing a lot less Nintendo than I do now. That's just a fact. I don't like the digital stuff. I don't like not having something.
And I have a ton of Steam games because of Steam sales. So Steam has no physical game competition. You think those Steam sales are going to still be as good? Hell to the no. That's not going to happen. Those sales will not be nearly as good. when
I
there's
almost
no
double
physical
dipped
competition.
on Resident Evil 2 remake when it was like $7.99 or something on Steam. I didn't, but I was like,
Yeah,
thought about
that's
it.
what I'm doing. I double dip because it's just it's so cheap, and I want that physical copy. I want that copy physically,
Well,
and
that's
I
what
can
I've
get
done.
I can get the physical copy and the digital game on Steam for less than the $70 price tag, for the game when it comes, when it's brand new or whatever.
There's a lot of
I
games
do
that
that.
came to Steam that, way later down the line, they did release physical, and then I
Yeah,
bought them still
yeah,
physical to
Like
have.
Hollow
same.
Knight. Did you ever buy?
Yeah,
Was Hollow Knight ever physical?
Yeah, my girl has Hollow
yeah.
Knight,
Hollow
so I
Knight's
don't need to
physical.
buy it again. But
Yeah.
I've done it with Dust, for example. There's several that I have here that I'm like, holy shit! Finally, it's releasing physical.
Hmm.
I mean, I bought this fucking goddamn massive collector's edition, forgetting it just released. Like I like having physical stuff, and so I do it in reverse on Steam. It only exists digital, so I buy it physical. But it's gonna go the other way. Then
What
Hmm.
about you, Sandstorm? How do you feel? Do you have many digital games on any of your platforms?
So all of my platforms are, well, as far as my consoles, they're a little bit different. So like my Steam library isn't really that huge, but when you're talking about like the Switch and even my PlayStation, the only time I'll buy something digital is if it's like a really good sale. And I'm like, I've been looking at this game for a while. I'll go ahead and pick it up. Or if it's something that I know that it's weird. It's weird. So there's an asterisk to this, but it's usually something that I know that like I would keep all the time. Like I would 100% never sell this game ever, and I know that I would play it until the wheels fall off. The asterisk to that is there are some games that I know I would keep 100% of the time. Uh, Chronicle or Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like I bought that physical. Like there was no doubt in my mind. But like games like Smash. Like I have Smash for the Switch as a digital download because that's a game that I would,
You play all the time. It's
yeah,
convenient.
I would play all the time. I would rather it just be there than me being, flipping through my boxes and trying to find it so I can whip it out, throw it in
Yeah.
every now and then. So
Whip it out. Pause.
yeah, thank you. Super
So
pause.
I
Super
felt
pause.
that way about Mario Maker 2, but now I regret it that I'm not playing it consistently. I was like, man, it'd be cool to have the Mario Maker 2 box in my
Hmm.
collection.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
but
I do that with PlayStation too. Like I got Control digital on my PlayStation, but I knew that was the game that I would come back every now and then, and just but to that same degree, that I'm a whore for samurai games, and Ghost of Tsushima I bought like physical. So it really
Yeah.
depends, I
I
guess.
feel like
Yeah. I buy no third party games digitally unless it's on Steam. Because you know what? I can open my Steam on this thing, I can open Steam on
yeah,
that and this and
that's a
that.
good
I
point.
can't do that with an Xbox if I buy digital games on Xbox. I can't do that if I buy digital games on Nintendo or Sony, right? They're locked to that console, they're locked to that ecosystem. So I don't have that freedom. So that's why I feel more comfortable buying my multi-plats or whatever on Steam if I want to, because I know it you know the hardware dies, I'm not screwed. I can just
Right.
go
You
get
can
another
trust
computer.
Steam's been around for
Yeah,
a while. You
they've
don't
been around for a while. They're
you don't
not
feel
going
like.
anywhere.
Do you remember what you
And
got
I can always back it
Hogwarts?
up.
You remember what you got Hogwarts for on Steam price wise?
Would I pay
Me,
for it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just
oh
curious
hell.
if it was on sale, if it was because I got it for
when I
half
got it,
off.
or who you asking?
UT, because
Oh
you
yeah,
got it on Steam.
I think I paid 30. Yeah, it was 30.
Yeah, I think I paid 30 or 35.
That's funny. So you guys pay half of what I paid, but it was still less than
You
the
had it right. I mean, you got it at
PlayStation
launch.
version.
I wish
Yeah.
honestly, that's one of the games I wish I liked it so much. They got their money out of it, but I was like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it that much. I would
Yeah.
have paid full price for it if I known how much I was gonna like it, because I haven't started a second
And I have
fifth
a I
or
have a
Yeah,
checklist.
sometimes
When
good
if I
old
buy a
Sandstorm
game,
is not wrong.
if I buy a game digitally, I'll write it down on my list to pick it up physically when it comes I can find it at a price that's I feel comfortable with, having already paid money physically or
because
digitally
late
for it.
2022, I picked up Jedi Fallen Order for like $11.99 digitally on PS5, and then I played it in early 2023, and like I didn't love the game. I didn't hate it. I played it and I got through it, and I was like, I don't know if I'll ever play it again. I don't really feel like I forget that I even have it. Like it's not even like I don't even really consider that I own it. Like same with Switch. I have Rive, that indie game that was like a twin stick shooter. I ended up not really liking it. I have that on there. I got the
You like Rive?
Revelations 1 and 2, which somebody gifted me a while, back in the day, 2018, I think. And I'm just like, man, I just forget that I have them. Like, if I had them physically, I don't know. I probably maybe think
No,
to
you
play them.
still. Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
I don't
Because
know.
I have so many games physically, I don't remember. I bought a game 2 or 3 times. I repurchased a game that I forgot that
I did that
already
for a
fucking
movie.
had.
I did a.
So
I bought.
it
I've
happened.
done that too. Like you're buying a game and then you come home and you're like,
Oh
wait, I
wait,
did already have it.
I
you go to
bought
put that
like
bitch in a shelf, and it's like, oh shit.
I think it was How to Train Your Dragon 2 or some animated movie. I was like, oh, that's a good price. I'm gonna buy that. And I got home to put it in alphabetical order. I keep my movies. I already own this. What the fuck? So I just gave it to
Yeah.
my nephew or my
Yep.
niece. I was like, how did I
I've
ever
done that
forget
at
I
least
own
3
that?
times.
But I'll never. I mean, I got 20 physical Switch games. I'm not gonna forget.
Right. You don't have as many as
But
me and
I wish I had
Retro
Mario
so.
Maker 2. So, and I sold a couple. I sold Mario Kart and Woolly World and Mario Tennis. So, or Woolly World, Crafter World. So technically, I should have 24 right now. But and I also got rid of Bomberman R. Sold that for $5. after Retro just completely humiliated me in that game.
It's terrible. Oh man, I think he humiliated all of us in that session.
But getting back to Microsoft, that the whole digital thing with Hellblade 2, I was like, man, like maybe it'll come out someday, but it's just like I'm not gonna pay $50 for a digital game. I did that for a few. I did Trials Rising. I bought it digital at launch for like $40, and then I feel like there was one other one. On PC, I bought the last 2 Tomb Raider games full price when they launched on PC digitally, but I don't know, it's just a bummer. And like, if like we didn't talk about this, if they bring some games to PS5 and Switch, are they just going to be digital only? Like Hellblade on Switch is digital only.
I would almost guarantee it's going to be still digital only.
Cuphead, did that get a physical?
It is.
I've seen a physical
But didn't that
copy
get
here, but for
physical?
PC.
Yeah, it's physical.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't just Switch though, right? They came out with a.
I think it's on PS4 too.
Originally, when Cuphead just came out, it was just like a PC physical version over here, and then later on,
Yeah,
you
it's on
got more of them.
PS4 and Switch physical. Man, it's still $60. It's $60 on PS4.
Yeah,
It seems a little.
PS4 version is the most expensive. Switch one is not that expensive.
Yeah, it's $40 at Best Buy. So I mean, that would be one thing that would like, but then that would piss off Xbox guys who would like physical if they only did. Say if you're gonna do it,
that ship has sailed.
Right.
Only 9% of you guys are buying physical games that they don't care anymore. They just don't care
about it anymore.
Maybe that's why they would.
That's why most games don't even come out physical anymore for Xbox, except for like they made like the flagship titles and shit. That's why Hi-Fi Rush still doesn't fucking have a physical.
And if they do come out, it's good luck. You gotta be better grabbing bitches quick, like Starfield and shit.
So I looked up physical Xbox games at my local Best Buy in stock. Like I go pick it up, 18 games. Wow. I think PS5 there was like 30, so it wasn't that much higher.
Yeah. It's gonna be. Nintendo is gonna be the last one hanging on.
Because Sonic Superstars was one of them. It was only $20 physical on Xbox, and I was like,
"Oh wow!" I'm glad I paid full price for that game.
Dude,
It
I
happens.
remember when the Wii U launched and Darksiders 2 came out. I paid $70 for that bitch.
I didn't pay
paid full,
70, but I paid at least 50 for it, I think.
I paid full price for not one anthem but two anthems. And used the
Maybe,
second,
maybe it was 60. It was 60
used
for
the
it.
second anthem to give away, and I had to forcefully try and give it away to somebody.
You did a giveaway, and
Oh,
nobody
what?
wanted it.
And
Now it's a weed
nobody
plate.
wanted it.
Now that game is a straight up weed plate.
I did a
It's only good
giveaway.
for breaking your weed up on. That's all. That's all it's good for now. Oh man,
That's
I don't smoke.
you know what sucked. You know the thing about Anthem was the last time I seen it in stores, it was $5, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Because games like that are worthless.
But they,
I remember doing
they
a
was always
fucking
online
like
anyway.
I remember doing like a first impressions video on my old channel for Anthem. I was hyped about that shit, and I still haven't picked it up. Even when I was $5, I was looking at it. I was like, eh.
that was another game they bullshotted. That first time they showed it, like none
Yeah.
of it, like a lot of that was not in the final game, and that's the same thing with I think the Suicide Squad's gonna happen. The Gotham Knights, they're trying to force this co-op stuff, and those games are just gonna have no life after. Like
There is at least there's an actual campaign. The game does actually
Yeah.
have a campaign.
yeah,
So
Anthem didn't have anything.
yeah,
single player.
Anthem did not have
But
single player.
what was
campaign.
another game that I
No.
was like, oh, that I think it's another one of those Korean developed games. It's called The First Descendant. Because I remember seeing it it was Game Awards, and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. I like
Mm.
it. Kind of had a Death Stranding look to the world, but you had multiple characters and some cool sci-fi stuff. And combat looked pretty cool. So I look it up, and it's just a 4-player online objective loop base where you just got go to point A, go to point B, go to point C, and defend. And I'm like, you can't. I mean, unless you have a group of friends like my buddy at work and his PUBG guys, like that stuff doesn't have a long life. You know those
Yeah.
games,
Right.
and it's like someone said there's like 100 games of service games being developed or something ridiculous number. Somebody said in the chat earlier. And I'm like,
Well, what was the other one that came out in December last year? That like as soon as it came out, everybody found out like it was nothing like how it was. It was one of those survival games where it was, you can drive around, have your customized car, zombies in this big New York world, and it was like none of that
I
is
don't
real.
remember that.
Oh, is it the
The day after, I think, wasn't it?
after? Yeah, day after.
Oh yeah.
Disaster. Oh man.
And then like a week later, they're like, "Yeah, we had to close."
It's gonna show up like 5 days later. That was fucked up, bro. And
I
now
can't-
they're trying to like hint at another game. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody ain't messing with y'all no more. You gotta be crazy.
Remember how excited I remember Red Knight like in 2018 was like, I can't wait. I think Rocksteady's next game's gonna get announced this year at E3.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when it actually got announced. It gets pushed like multiple times, and then it just comes out in January. No fanfare. I only stumbled across it because I was looking, because I saw the Sonic deal, and I was like, oh, let's jump on and see what other Xbox games. And I'm like, Suicide Squad, that's not out, and it's out. And I saw previews for it, and it looks like just rubbish.
You know why you haven't heard anything about it? Because they ain't getting nobody no review codes.
The people I've seen somebody say it's not as bad as people are saying, but there's all these on-screen icon. Every time you shoot somebody, there's these fake-looking like hologram emblems for all this stuff you're picking up. And
People were being unfair. Like the thing is, a lot of the criticisms were, oh, this is the next Rocksteady game. Oh, I wanted another Batman or like. That's fine that you want that. I'm talking about critics, not fans. It's fine that you wanted that, but that's not what this is.
Yeah, review
you
what
have
it
to
is.
judge this for what it is. You can't be, and that's what was happening, and that's why they didn't give review codes out. They were like, "Fuck you guys! Like, you're not even giving this game a chance."
It does just look like a take. I mean, you could take the suit from the gameplay. It doesn't look anything like Suicide. It's just a shooter.
Yeah,
4-person co-op shooter, and I'm just like,
but if it wasn't called Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League from Rocksteady, and it was just some random game out there, nope, they wouldn't be as hard on the game. That's the problem.
But
so
the fact
yeah,
that
people are being.
I would
They're
say,
not being fair to the game.
I'd say it was missed opportunity to go from the really well received Arkham games. You got use the Suicide Squad, killing the Justice League. That could have been. They could have just kept kind of the same formula. Maybe just had different playable characters. Maybe it wouldn't sell as good. Maybe they were worried it wouldn't sell as good. But I don't know. When you got that pedigree, and then what I see, it's like anybody could have made this game. Like just
they made a bad decision because when did they start working on this game?
5 years. It feels 6 years.
Right. It's been a while since they started just working on this game, and everybody thought the wave of the future was games as a service, always online stuff. And when they started working on this, it looked like that, but that still ain't really.
When did Anthem come out though? They had time to pivot. Anthem's been out a long time ago. Remember Avengers? Like
2019 was when that fell apart. Was it
Yeah.
2019?
No, it was 2018 because it was the same year that Kingdom Hearts came out.
Okay, because I was trying to remember the EA Play, the one that I did the Mega Mix for, and the Anthem guy came out to that, and Greg Miller was all hugging up on him. It was weird as shit. So I was trying to remember what year that was, because that's when it pretty much died. It was pretty much over by then.
I remember, was it Sony's thing where they showed the Avengers for the first time, or one of the big events?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
remember the Avengers, and everybody was excited.
And,
Nobody know.
People are like,
Nobody
oh
knows
my
that.
god, it looks so good. And then I'm like, you didn't watch the same thing I did. That looks like some fucking repetitive
That shit looked
combat,
bland.
scripted bullshit.
That was
Like-
the same year that Nintendo showed off Ultimate Alliance right after.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that looks way more fun than that bullshit I just saw.
I feel like we keep moving off from the main.
How
thing.
much? What can you say about Microsoft? How long can you really talk about that?
Like, how much
subject,
more
man?
is there to say?
Retro, what does it
Yeah,
mean
there's
for
nothing
you
really-
if Starfield comes to PS5, or it's already on PC? But if it
I mean, I ain't buying a PS5 for a long ass time either, so it
Yeah, so
changes
that's the
nothing.
point. Doesn't
It doesn't make
change
no
anything.
difference to retro. Like, you don't care.
I have
Like I'll play it one day when I can play it, but like just because I don't have an Xbox doesn't mean I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 5 for it. I keep saying it. There's no fucking reason to buy a PlayStation 5. It has like 2 exclusives. Like Spider-Man's like the only one I care about. I ain't buying a fucking PlayStation 5 just to play Spider-Man. Like it'll come when it'll come.
But I will say, for how much you still play on your PS4, I mean, there are a lot of life improvements or quality of life improvements if you got one.
I'm not saying I don't want the PlayStation 5. I'm
But-
not saying I'm buying one for one
Purchase
game.
Yeah.
is what he's saying.
I'm saying,
You can't justify
but
that
if
purchase.
like Starfield comes out for PS5, then you'd have to start completely over. If you bought an Xbox, you have no games for it, right? You don't have any Xbox games to it'd be the only game you'd have.
Yeah, but Xbox games are like $5. Like
I mean, you could
a
build
lot
up-
of the games that I want to play on
could build a
Xbox,
library.
like what's that one game that they did in the beginning? I forgot the name. Where you're like grinding over shit and stuff, you know?
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really want to play
Yeah.
that. So it's like $2, man. Like Xbox games is like no money.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's true though. I'm not saying that to be
It's true.
mean.
It's true. They are very cheap.
So it's going to be interesting to
I would
to
say-
announce it a week in advance. Though it's just weird to say, hey, next
I think
week.
it's because the whole. I think they wouldn't have said
Because
shit
of all
if there
the-
wasn't this whole blow up.
about the game PS5 stuff or Hi-Fi and Starfield. But then if they were gonna deny it, they'd just deny it. They wouldn't tell you to wait a week. I don't
Right.
think.
I'm gonna make people wait. It could be. Who knows? It could be 2 weeks. It could be on next.
It
They
could
just
be
said next
Friday,
week, right?
Next week,
It
Friday.
could be next Friday, right? So
Almost 2 weeks.
we have no
I feel
idea.
it's- I still feel it's gonna be the most underwhelming shit ever. Like we're all having like these ideas and stuff, and it's gonna be some dumbass shit.
You know
like,
what I
just-
thought of when I
I'm
first
not
saw
hyping
it?
myself up for anything. I don't think it's gonna be anything special.
When we got
but-
bought out at work after a few months, they called a big meeting. Everybody had to be there, and you're just like, "Oh, this ain't good." And they're
meetings
like,
are always
yeah,
trash.
this, and this. Oh yeah, here's time for the ouch news. Yeah, we're reducing our workforce by 65%,
Ooh.
and you'll know by the end of the day if you're. And it's going to happen in 2 months, but you'll know by the end of the day if you're staying or leaving. The managers have already picked everybody.
And I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna leave right now.
A couple people did. That's when I said,
Real
"Oh,
big love that
we're
bitch.
gonna tell you the future Xbox." That popped in mind that moment in my life.
Yeah,
And it
it's
doesn't
not
mean
going to
it's
be
gonna be
great.
that, but I'm just
I
saying
mean,
It's
remember
going to
they
be
just
for a
fucking
lot of people, whatever it is. It's
it's gonna hurt some
going to
people.
upset some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going
because
to.
we didn't even think about that. But remember, they like laid off like fucking 2,000 people just now. You know,
Exactly.
maybe it's in relation to that.
They're restructuring. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I told you most of that layoff was like redundant jobs. That was going to happen. Like I said, this guy back in what was it, October, who predicted it almost to the number how many people were going to get laid off. He said like 1927 or something. He got that specific, and it might be exactly 1927. We don't know. We know it's at least 1,900 people. So that was always going to be a thing. But when you buy something that massive, there's going to be some massive
Yeah,
changes.
there's gonna be.
You spent $70 billion.
There's a reason why you
Bethesda
bought
was one thing. Bethesda was $7 billion. This is 70. There's going to be some big changes based on
Maybe
that.
that's what
So,
they're gonna address because there are, you know, like yeah, like you said, there's a lot of like HR people and that kind of stuff. But there are devs that they have already come out and said like, look, yeah, our game is completely canceled. Like this is not coming anymore. So maybe it's just to announce
Well, that happened to
everything that
Warner
died.
Brothers.
also from the gamer side, it just could be an announcement for Game Pass, right? Because people have been waiting. When is this Activision Blizzard shit coming to Game Pass? They haven't announced that yet. None of that stuff is on there yet. Maybe that's part of the announcement as well. I would think that's part of the announcement too. They're going to say what games are coming, when, what's the cadence, that kind of stuff.
God, I just had something to add to that, and I lost track of thought. But
Oh shit!
when you talk about restructuring and stuff, there was some issues with the head of Blizzard and Activision. I guess they hired
I think they never liked.
they hired a new head, right? It's a woman. I don't remember her name, because the
It's
guy
from Activision. I know
the
that.
guy at
That's all I
work,
know.
he's a big, he's a World of Warcraft guy. He still plays. I don't know if he plays weekly anymore, but he was recently, and he's talking about they just hired the head of Blizzard, and it's just she's a disciple of the guy that we just got rid of because nobody liked him. Like, so he wasn't too thrilled.
That seems like a business move, and they don't give a shit.
But
but I think there's something about Mike Ibarra that Microsoft doesn't like, or vice versa. This is the second time they let him go. Basically,
yeah,
he left, went to Activision or went to Blizzard. They acquired Blizzard and got rid of him and shit again. So it's like, what the hell?
yeah, because they're trying to clean up some stuff. Obviously, if the books need to be streamlined, like I said, there's when you have acquisitions, you don't need HR at this facility. They're just going to have, which doesn't always work though. Oh, well, you guys have your own accounting department. Well, we have all these accounting people here, so you don't need your people there. So they get rid of all our accounting, and then the people in Pennsylvania, they fuck it all up. They don't know what the hell they're doing, and we get completely behind on stuff. And so it's not always for the better. But on the books, it probably looks better. But as far as some of the development issue, I guess there was supposedly toxic behavior.
Oh yeah, they got to restructure.
That's gonna take
Activision and Blizzard because of their management and all that whole mess that was going on
there. How does
there.
somebody just say, "Yeah, I'm in charge of all"? Like Phil Spencer, you're in charge of all this now. Like that's a lot to be in charge of. Like he's gonna have to have dozens of people under him just to be like a regional manager.
He has like Sarah Bond, who's technically the head of Xbox, right? And he's the head of like the Microsoft gaming division. So they've been restructuring and putting people in place to where it's not just one guy having to deal with all that stuff, because it's freaking impossible. That's the one thing that Microsoft is known for, is they have a really high approval rating as far as like workers and whatnot. At least the workers they actually keep really like working for Microsoft. They've always been like tops as far as like people loving to work for the company. So
remember all that?
That's why I felt good about them taking them over, because there had to be some work done with Activision, especially.
There was all that stuff about 343 though, how that was being mishandled with a bunch of contractors and a bunch of miscommunication. Whether that was accurate or not, apparently it was an exit interview someone posted, but say some of it was true, maybe some of it wasn't, but because a lot of people, if they're leaving a place and they're angry about it, they're going to be a little more ruthless and critical, maybe make that place sound worse than it was. But it did sound like some stuff I've dealt with the company I work at getting bought out, and it's the people up top are getting told everything's fine by the people under them, but then they're basically just ignoring the obvious stuff. The people like me at the lower end complaining to my boss. Does he pass it up? He probably doesn't want to make things sound bad, so he's not passing it up, or he does, and the next person doesn't pass it up. And just to think about how many layers there is now with all that acquisition, it's just crazy to think about.
That's a behemoth.
And
you're trying to tame.
I don't know, this isn't directly related, but I did watch the Naughty Dog's behind the scenes making of The Last of Us Part 2, which was like, I don't know if it was over an hour. And I just had it on. I was cooking or whatever, and I was like, it was very interesting because it was a look inside like a development team, and they covered like they were making Uncharted 4, and they were like, well, we're trying to have two teams, one make The Last of Us Part 2 and somebody make Uncharted. And they're like, no. The head guy said, listen, everybody on to Uncharted 4. So then the whole people, they had stopped what they were doing.
Comes first.
They went to Uncharted 4. They get that out. So then, okay, we're back. Split teams. They started the Lost Legacy DLC. So then they're trying to get the Last of Us 2 in a demo state so they can show it off. But Lost Legacy is about to launch, and they're just like, they admitted, because the employees, it was 2023. They're interviewing these people, and they're like, he's like, yeah, everybody in the office knew there's no way we're hitting these deadlines. Neil Druckmann wanted, he's not as high up as I thought. There's at least one person ahead of him. He wanted it out, but the head guy, they had a little meeting, and they were recording a lot of this because they must have known they were doing a documentary. He's like, hey, we made the decision. We're not worrying about that. We're getting Lost Legacy out. We're not going to worry about that demo. Don't worry about it. And you could see the relief on people's faces. And it's an interesting look at the inside of a team. That they showed more than I expected of that stuff. And they showed how their team had grown and how like they ended up having to crunch for like multiple games. And they ended with something I think's probably not going to be realistic, but their goal now is to get rid of crunch, period. They're just going to not crunch anymore. Well, they were getting games out every 2 to 3 years, and it's already been over 3 years since The Last of Us 2, and if they're not going to do crunch, what happens?
And they wasted a lot of time and resources
on
that
Last of Us game
online.
So what happens if they can't they only get a game out once every 6 years, like the Zelda team? That's just one team at Nintendo, and I'm just like, man, to make that your like main priority is not to crunch anymore. Just seems like almost
like
impossible.
A pipe dream.
That's why you get the Last of Us 2. That's why you got The Last of Us 2 remastered half a year later.
And that came out, and that was literally just pretty much straight port with just the new content. Visually, there's no difference, and I didn't really expect there to be, but I just find it very interesting. Even if you don't care about, it has heavy spoilers. If somebody didn't want to know the story, then you definitely don't want to watch it. But I found it surprisingly interesting just to see behind the scenes at a studio and the decisions they have to make and what goes into it. And they admitted that first gameplay, it wasn't they faked it. They delivered on what they showed, but at the time, Ellie gets pulled out of the car or from underneath the car, and she fights the guy off. You couldn't do that in the game when they showed that. You couldn't run and throw a bottle at somebody when they showed that stuff, and they ended up delivering it, but they kind of felt like they had to because they showed it. At the same time, why are we still showing stuff that's not actually in the game yet? Like I found it to be pretty interesting. But then the leak thing, that's actually what I initially wanted to talk about. To see like the first hand like how it affected the people that had worked for like 4 years on this game, and it just like some kid in I don't think it was France, but it was in Europe, because they had the COVID. They had to do everything working from home. So in like a 1 month span, they hired all this IT people to like to open their stuff up to a network. They've never had anything like that. And then somebody finds a back door. They're a fan, and they're basically blackmailing them to release the game and not delay it. And it's like it's COVID.
In that case, you're not a fan, man.
So they blocked.
That's insanity.
They blocked the back door access. Well, he had already downloaded everything. That's when the Joel thing got leaked.
Mm-hmm.
They leaked like
and the internet went insane.
They leaked rough footage of characters like levitating. They were just basically looking at. It was just a dev build. They were just pulling up to look at the.
I remember people were like, "Man, the game is gonna look like this. It's
It
fucking
was really
shit."
low quality. But to hear like
man.
the woman, I forget her name. She's the second writer. Her and Neil Druckmann, and then I think somebody else. She was in tears talking about it, like how devastating.
Wasn't she getting harassed
She
or
was
something?
getting death
like,
threats.
death threats to her child and all kind of nonsense.
And it's just like
that's crazy, bro.
it's so stupid.
That's when I'm embarrassed to be a gamer. That's when I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Again, it's
this kind of
happening. What else was it happening with recently? I saw another person
Wolverine?
saying
Was it Wolverine?
that.
It
No,
happens all the time. It
And,
happens all the time now. It's normal now.
Way too often,
and
man.
I mean Terrell's not
Got
here.
sending D
but-
pics. It was sending D pics to I think it was over God of War? They were sending like
I don't know.
threats and D pics to one of the developers.
Well, it turns out the kid was a fan, and he's like, I thought if I just started showing this, it'd put pressure on you to release the game. And like it was.
You think
cold
they'd
out.
have enough pressure
They
on them?
couldn't get out any physical shit. No one. There was all the like all the containers and ships and stuff were all fucking blocked up.
Yeah, everything was
Surprising
congested.
they got the game out. Honestly, I think it was May or June that year. But she was just like in tears talking about this stuff, and I mean, Terrell, he's not here to defend himself. He was all over those leaks. Like he came to the conclusions about the game based on leaks, the leaked footage and what people were saying. No one ever played the game from start to finish. Now, you don't have to love the game. You don't have to like I kind of wish they didn't do the flashback stuff. I kind of wish that was just like where the game started, but at the same time, that's what they wanted to do. That was their plan. I don't agree with them keeping the Abby thing secret. He talked about that. They were really just trying to surprise people. Like
I think that should have been a secret. I agree with that because that is shocking. That's what this game has been, right? It's been known for that shocking moment.
they were definitely going for shock value, whether you agree with that or not.
I mean, devs, they want to surprise people with the games they build. That's
Yeah,
also
everybody
why.
do that.
That's also why Sakurai stopped fucking making like the story shit in Smash, because people were like leaking the clips of like the subspace and everything. He's like, well, fine, and I ain't gonna put that shit in the game no more.
Mhm.
That's why he switched it to like character reveal trailers and stuff, like because they want to be the surprise
boring
people.
was
When
that?
people are like so in a hurry, they stop caring.
How boring were those? Just this is the character. Yeah, Donnie's right. It was also Laura Bailey was the one who was
Laura
kids.
Bailey.
But the
Yeah,
writer,
she was the motion cap lady, right? She motion cap for
she
Abby
did.
or something?
She did Abby. So people
Yeah,
were
Abby,
because
yeah.
they hated Abby before the game even came out.
And so it's the motion cap artist's fault that you hate, like, 'cause, you know what I'm
they
saying?
didn't do
what
her
I'm
likeness.
mad
Like
at
some
the person on the assembly line for why it's stupid.
people
It's
were
stupid.
saying about the TV show Abby, like the casting news. What she doesn't physically look like Abby's like build, but people are saying they're already warning this girl about the hate she's going to receive for playing this character people just fucking hate. And it's like I'll be curious if the show reaction, if people who love the first season did
People
play
in
the
the show
games,
aren't gonna care.
I wonder if people in the show, and I have a feeling Craig Mazar, the showrunner, is going to do it a little different. I don't think they're going to, like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
They'll buff her up. It won't be. She won't be Abby in the
No.
game. I don't
But
think.
will they start
Give her
with?
give her a Sarah Connor look, maybe.
Will they start with the bad thing she does and then try to convince you to like her afterwards, like the game does. Which by the end, I see what they're. I felt for Abby, but I'm like, I don't know that I would have
Was
made
it
that
enough?
kid.
Did you feel enough?
I was conflicted at the end when it was
Yeah,
her.
and maybe that's good enough too. Because that's kind of stuff you don't really that doesn't really happen to you in video games. So
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
that
know if
was the
has
point for you
anybody
to be
ever
conflicted.
made you play a character like a supposed like character that they set up as someone you should hate and then made you play.
I
as
would
them?
be mad. I would be like, man, I don't want to play as this person. I can't stand this. Oh, and that's what they want to get you to, that moment. Like, oh, okay.
And
I've had the opposite though, where like I don't want to do spoilers for games, but Bob and Kaitos, they make you love the main
But yeah,
character, like you love this guy, and it's the opposite at the end.
yeah.
You can't fucking stand him anymore. Like
that's
that's part of
interesting
what the
too.
game is.
That's interesting.
Or again, this game's fucking 12 years old. The other end of the year or end of life PS3 game that came out. God, was it a late PS3 game? It got a remaster too on PS4. The Quantic Dream game.
Oh yeah,
the
with
origami killer guy.
is that with Ellen Page?
Heavy Rain. So no, that's the other one.
Detroit.
No, It's called Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain did something similar in that game, where it's like, you playing as all these characters, and you're like, oh, this character is the guy, and you've been playing as him all this time. You're like, oh shit.
That's
how you feel
Oh,
about
shit.
that. You feel conflicted, and that was a really cool moment in that game for me. I was like, yeah. So I can see, developers want to surprise people like that. That would have sucked if I knew going into that game that twist. It would totally sucked. It wouldn't have been as cool, not even close,
and
as memorable.
I really seeing her cry, seeing the other lady like, oh, the writer was mad because it was the second trailer where they didn't. It was just, we know now it's Abby. She was getting hung, and she was choking by a rope, and there was like I think like an Asian woman talking to her, and then somebody else shoots with a bow and arrow and cuts her down, and then I think they brutally killed the lady that was hanging her. And this person, I don't remember if it was a male or female, wrote an article about how Naughty Dog's obsessed with glorifying violence against women. And she's like, I wrote that scene. Like, I wrote that fucking dialogue. She was pissed. And this person is sitting there accusing me of glorification of violence against women, like they assumed it was a guy doing it. And they're like, we have two lead female characters. They go through a lot of shit. Like, we're not. She was so mad, and she was like just swearing, and it's like this person just must assumed she was a guy, and just like claimed this ridiculous thing based off this trailer. And like, if you have two lead female characters in a game, like a 20-hour like high but like big title, and
that shit sounds woke.
Some person's just like, oh, there's just they're getting off on abusing women in their game, and she was so pissed about it. But anyway, the other part of it was just talking about leaks in general, like you said, the Smash stuff. And I really just don't like leaks really of any kind. When before something comes out, I just don't understand like what people's obsession is with knowing things and finding stuff out. Like,
for me, want to be the first to know.
I don't care if it's something I don't care about, right? Like, if it's a leak for a game, I'm not gonna play.
Like Sonic Generations, Shadow, whatever got leaked. Yeah, I ain't gonna be upset. Right. But for somebody who loves Sonic, like, that would have been a cool announcement to not know that and watch that.
I'm not gonna perpetuate the leak. I'm not gonna.
It's not because what Sansom said. It's not that people want to be the first to know. In this day and age, people want to be the first to share it.
Yeah.
And like get the clout from it.
That's what it is. Clout chasing.
But man, it's just
sometimes
to
you
see
can
that.
Sneak in, like, I found out this first.
It's like those assholes that come to your video. It's like, first.
Yeah, and that doesn't seem to be much of a thing anymore.
They don't do it anymore. You remember that era of
Mhm.
first in the comment section? Like that was
I
just the
seen
weirdest,
it
funniest
last
thing to me.
year on a reaction video that premiere, or not premiere, but when it went live within the. I was like, I saw that it had like 3 views, and I did see somebody put first, so that they must have been an older person who hadn't realized that. Not that I'm not an older person, but realized that hadn't ended that trend. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I sometimes I get accused of not having like a heart for certain things, but
He cold.
seeing
He's
people
Cold-blooded.
seeing people like tear up over something like that, just like it does get to me. And like Sakurai, hearing him say like I'm not gonna bother doing these anymore. Those are freaking awesome. Those reveal trailers, and then some kid freaking ruins it for everybody. And I just feel like a lot of that shit, like um like an early build of a game. Like I know I didn't watch it because I'm not gonna support it, but like apparently the some early Wolverine footage showed, and people were like, "Oh, it looks so bad." Or
It's not just early Wolverine footage; it's people downloading and playing the game.
yeah,
and
and it's like,
modding it already, and it's just
yeah,
like, come on, bruh. Come
look,
on, why y'all do that? Why y'all do that?
what did Breath of the Wild look like early on? Like it was like top
That's
down
what
we
we
saw
just.
Zelda.
That's what
we
we
saw
just
that.
said also about the other game. Like the yeah, it was Last of Us, wasn't it?
Which one for what?
The one that looked like garbage,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
people were like
It
buzzing
was
around
like
and shit. Like, then people just think, oh, well, because people don't understand game development. They're like, well, that's what the game looks like. This is shit. It's like, bitch, you stole something they were still making. Like, what do you think is
Well,
there
gonna
wasn't
happen?
even
well, we know this
textures
for
and
a fact. We know this for a fact because Palworld is still in early access. So,
well, here's the thing: if you're ever gonna question like a developer's on how a game looks, it ain't Insomniac. If they do anything
Right,
right, it's fucking
right.
polish
You
and
know it's gonna
visuals.
look good. Come
It's
on
like
now, come
Jesus
on,
Christ.
come on.
Like that's the last thing. It's crazy though. Like you'd think some games, I would just assume they don't even start with like the rough
Yeah,
gameplay build because I feel like a
yeah,
lot of games they don't care about the gameplay, but even then they still start with the rough. Like
yeah.
the
But I was
level
just
design,
reminding us,
you're not gonna build level
GTA 6.
design with all this high res foliage and textures and shit. You're gonna
No,
freaking make your
you gotta
level
map it
layout
out
in the most
Mhm.
basic polygonal stuff ever. Like
to make
I
sure
mean,
the systems work and everything.
we've even had Nintendo games. They show them in a direct. The game releases 4 months later. Looks way better than what you saw on the direct. Like a month changes a lot for game
that
development.
Hyrule War Age of
Yeah.
Calamity, I feel like got was it
Remember
Age of
Super
Calamity?
Mario 3D World?
That was just
Remember
they didn't
how
show much. They didn't show the right stuff first, but
I know, just
remember how they showed off Arceus too, and it ran just
yeah,
good.
that looked a lot rougher in the first reveal. I do remember that. That was one of the few games.
remember Watch Dogs? Oh, it went the other way.
Shoot,
This
even
next gen
Bayonetta 3.
experience, this new big next gen game on Xbox 360 and PS3. It's like
Even
really,
Bayonetta
bro.
3 kind of went through that treatment too when we first saw it to the second time we saw it.
Well,
What
you know
was
what's
it?
funny? I was
Bayonetta
looking
3.
up some old
Yeah.
stuff because Bayonetta 3 was almost the same day or the next day. That
Mhm.
was as like the God of War Ragnarok trailer, and also, at the time it was called Project Eve. That got revealed like within the same day as Bayonetta 3, and I was looking at some old tweets and I found a level-headed gamer because Robert Rule 2 I think had commented on something and he was replying. He was like so mad at Bayonetta 3 for not looking like this PS5 freaking exclusive. Well, at the time it was Xbox PC. And he's like, that's what Bayonetta looked like when they first showed it in 2017. I'm like, what the heck? Bro, it never looked like that. Like that CG trailer was like it was a black background with one with Bayonetta and another character. There was no backgrounds, there's nothing. And he was trying to argue that Bayonetta 3's CGI reveal looked as good as what's now called Stellar Blade, but Project Eve did when they showed. I'm like, bro, no, it never looked that good. But I do agree that when that was shown, I was like, wow, that makes Bayonetta look a little less visually impressive. But either way,
you guys want to take a walk down memory lane, us Wii U era guys, Scott the Wise has a fantastic series going.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Wii U Birth of a Death. He did part 1, he did part 2. These are fucking 2-hour videos. I don't know.
How do
I
these
guess if you got a team, you can do that. Good God. And he keeps the same energy for the entire 2 hours.
probably with great
And
narration, lots of research,
narration is great. It's funny. There's stuff that I forgot. Like all the shit talking that third parties were doing
yeah.
on Wii U. I forgot some of, like, straight up tweeting stuff out. Not even giving a shit. I'm like, wow.
You had
I
that,
didn't-
and you had the guys
like
trying to
that.
act all excited. Oh, this game's running on. It looks beautiful on the Wii U, and then it never comes out. Like Project
Oh yeah,
Cars,
yeah. They talk about
Alien.
Colonial Marines and all that shit. Yeah, it's a great and frustrating watch because it reminded me of how pissed off I was a lot of the times when it came to Wii U.
You want to hear something that's gonna make you sad, feel old?
Oh,
We
yeah.
are literally 16 days from the 10-year anniversary of Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
Wow.
That guy just watched his Woz video, and that's why I knew.
Because
I knew it.
I got
He was
my
talking
new
about that.
Sony LED LCD TV the same, or no, it was the 21st because my sister's birthday. As I got Tropical Freeze, and I hooked up the TV. I had a game night. We were playing like board games and stuff, and I just wanted to play. It was just like bad timing because I didn't know when the TV was going to show up. It got delivered the same day. I hooked it up quick, and I booted up Tropical Freeze. I hadn't seen it on my old TV, so I had to mess with some settings because it didn't look quite right. And I was like, I'll never forget that date. You know, Retro loves to quite like be surprised at remembering dates. But February 21st, 2014, Tropical Freeze released, and
He talked about that. It was
Donkey
good
Kong
segment in
Country
the video.
released November 21st, 1997, or not 94, I mean. And
He said.
yeah, 97, 94. That was on my birthday. I beat it that same night I got it, and I was kind of disappointed.
I was gonna say
wow.
Dixie Kong's Double Trouble was one of the games that came out late, that came out the same year as the N64 on Super Nintendo. That was a big game still. So
Stupid ass baby shit.
Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. I don't think I ever finished. I don't think I ever finished that one.
The third one?
Yeah, I don't think I finished it.
Yeah.
I gotta go back.
There's another game with a stupid fucking elephant. God, I hated that
Who
elephant.
was that? Was that Kong's son? Who was that? The
It
baby.
was like I thought it was a cousin or some shit.
It was-
or like
yeah.
some,
They rarely do like direct children. It's
Hmm.
always like a cousin or an uncle,
yeah.
some shit like that.
But
So,
all
yeah.
right, we should probably wrap
Bounce
this up.
out of here.
Good discussion though, and next week we'll probably still be predicting.
We'll still be
'cause
waiting, probably.
I don't think we'll
Right.
know. We won't know about a direct.
know.
Remember
Maybe
the
next week we
Mondays?
can talk about the direct again. Ooh.
Remember the Mondays
Right.
where it was like the big thing was the new Switch OS update? Like every other Monday, Terrell would be like, "There's a new Switch
That's all we
update,"
had.
New Switch
Sometime-
update, y'all.
and we'd be like, "All right, what's the new up? They add this," and then we're like, we realized they weren't gonna add shit.
Got to
Oh,
a point where we stopped
you
caring.
could zoom. You can zoom in now on anything. Like, why do you need that? Like, but
That seems
anyway,
pretty
we'll get
cool.
out of here.
Big
And,
avatars. Ooh.
Can I get some folders in this bit? Oh, we got those, I guess, kind of.
we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.